to Basketball Talk Pro. Today I want to talk to you about a very small part of the game of basketball, but a very important part, in my opinion. And that is the guard to wing pass to start your offense. I see teams that can't even get into their offense. I see defensive teams that allow them to make that pass, guard to wing pass. And both cases, it kind of makes me shudder a little bit that teams are not better at this part of the game. For one thing, defending the ball and defending that wing, if you can make that wing come up just a couple of steps higher than they want to, you change angles and you change distance. By the same token, if you can't get the ball where you want it at the wing, then you are at a disadvantage because of distance and angles. It seems simple, and it is simple. It's just hard work. But it's also correct positioning, both for the offense and the defense. And we have a drill. I've used one drill always for this, because you get a lot of work on it in regular scrimmages or running your offense against defense, whatever. You get a lot of work at it, but sometimes you have to break it down to just those two people. And we call it the two-man entry drill. And we run it with the idea of, with two purposes really. One is to get the ball into the wing in the position that we want it. There has to be a coordination and a timing between the guard and that wing, and we will show you a little bit later on the board. But also, secondly, defensively, we want our players with the attitude that they are going to fight the dribbler and get him as far out of position as you can get him, but maintaining a position that makes it difficult for him to pass to the wing, and the wing being overplayed aggressively, fearlessly, to get him to get him up from the spot he wants to at least the top of the key. And I recall a playoff game between the Bulls and Orlando, critical game. I think it was a game 7. Orlando had Shaq at the time. It was a tough matchup for Chicago, and it looked like Orlando had the advantage in that game. The Bulls made a very good change or adjustment, and it was simple. They simply put good pressure on the guard, and they overplayed very hard the wing pass. Forced that wingman to go out, and I'll show you on the board what it did. But I want to repeat this. I think it's a very important part of the game. I see teams that cannot get their offense started right. And I also see teams where defensive players just almost allow them to get the ball where they want to. I think both teams in those situations are hurting themselves from running a nice smooth offense and from allowing the offense to run smoothly. This is the best place that you can detract them from this kind of their offense running smoothly. So let's go take a look at what's on the board, and we'll show you the drill we use. Well, you're only going to be able to see my hand and arm on this, but that's okay because I wanted this big enough so that you could see it as clearly as possible to see the things that we want to show you. Let's take a look at the defense first. This defensive man on the ball, we like him or her to be on the outside shoulder a little bit, fading towards that outside shoulder. The reason is it makes that pass a little bit harder. And a lot of guards, when you do that, will start to come over in here, which now you start to unravel their offense just a little bit. So a lot of guards can use that kind of turn sideways and use that crab step to get it in here. But the first key is to get it in this area, not back in here if there's real pressure on you. That's the key part. This man has to really fight this dribbler, bringing the ball into that area that he wants to be in order to make that a short and quick, hard pass. Here, though, where most defenses make the mistake, is they play right here with this guy. If you play even one step and you're behind a step, very hard to overplay in that situation. Stay ahead of your man slightly. When the ball's out in here, you can get that distance can be greater. Give yourself a good chance. As he gets closer, you've got to tighten up on your man. And then you have to be determined here. This is the other place. If they do get a step ahead, then this guy makes a step and they stay even with them. They got to really keep fighting all the way till they have forced him out in here. Now, from a defensive standpoint, I want to show you that. Here was Shaq. Actually, it was on the other side of the floor because for some reason Orlando, I think it was because they wanted Shaq on that block, of course, was coming down that side, but that's okay. Here's your post-up man. Now, feeding here to here is not so difficult. Even if there isn't a post man and cutters, this is a good passing angle. But here, move them out here, you have a longer pass, but it also changes the angle of that pass. It allows the defensive man on the post-up man, the strong post-up man, to play a little bit more on the ball side, which really makes it difficult to make that pass. Also, it allows cutters to get a little bit more depth. The defensive men on cutters to get a little bit more depth so that they're in a position to handle those cutters. Now, from an offensive standpoint, let's look at that. We start, first of all, on this drill, we just use 4 players at one time. And I'll talk to you about that right now. A lot of head coaches, have 4 guys here and then they send 4 guys down to the other and 4 guys to another basket to work on this. You better have some good assistants if you do that. I don't do that. I just keep a line here, and we just change offense to defense, defense to offense, and then a new group comes in. We get enough work, and then we switch over on the other side. Offensively, you need to be cognizant of the passing angles. I don't like the guards to come over here to make that pass, because we have our guards cutting, and a lot of teams do that pass, and then the guard usually does something. From over here, it's a bad angle. We like to keep him in here And he's got to learn that he's just got to dominate that defensive man so he can stay in there. And if the guard is playing tough like we want him to do, then you're going to have to take some time. And when that happens, then this man has got to time that. He can't be breaking up, even if he's back cutting. If this guy's way out in here and still fighting this guy, this has got to, you got to take a little time. It may take you 2 or 3, 4 seconds. We'd rather you didn't have to do that, but if they're playing tough like we'd like to play on that play, then we've got to just adjust and have some patience. This man must wait. He has to be smart and see when that the right opportunity is to come out, break out, so he can get the ball there. If we can get the guard here, a good time break, that's a relatively easy pass. If this guy is playing tough and we don't get the right timing, then what happens is they have to drift out to get the ball. Or they go back and then come up. Now you're disrupting, the offense is being disrupted. To do this smoothly and to do this effectively, you know, they're going to have to do it approximately, in an NBA game, approximately 55 times during a game. And high school, you can just bring it down by the number of minutes. But it's a big part of the game, and people don't even hardly notice it, and people don't pay a lot of attention to it as coaches. As I told you, what the Bulls did on this side of the floor is they just extended that pass and changed the angle. They won the game. And I watched that game, and I gave that maneuver defensively the work that they had done to get those players ready to do it. I gave that an awful lot of credit in winning that game. There were a lot of other things, of course, like in any basketball game. But this battle all night long certainly helped neutralize Shaq, and it will help neutralize any strong post-up player. But it also neutralizes cutters, and don't forget cutters. That's a dangerous part of the game. Well, I think that's a very important, simple part of the game. But as I watch and coached, I always thought that area just did a lot to distract or help you do things better offensively and defensively. Well, that's it for today. We look forward to seeing you next time, and thank you very much for watching.